What's happening? No, I don't have the video done yet. It's coming. I told you all after the first of the year, it'll be here. It'll be all done. We'll be good. So the promo video or whatever, the start will be here. Don't worry. I'm getting there. All right. First off, there was something I wanted to say first. First off, I have a pink bandana on today. That's right. And I got a blue that I always wear. The pink is for Kristen. She's in a big battle with cancer right now, and she's in our thoughts and prayers. I mean, this cancer is a fucking beast. So the pink bandana is for her. The blue thing, I always wear this. It's for Rodney, and got bad news about him today. So he's in a battle. This cancer thing is a punk. I mean, to put it lightly, it's a punk. It's taken down some pretty good people, but they're battling it. It ain't over till it's over, and cancer can't win. It just can't. So the pink bandana's for Kristen, the blue one's for Rodney. Bang. I was going to wear a blue and pink kind of thing, kind of intertwine them, but I ain't that. It's too complicated for me. All right. We have the year in review show, the 2022 year in review show. So concerts that happened that we went to, albums that were released. Get a pad, piece of paper, because I got some of the best music minds joining me, my dumbass today. They will enlighten you on some bands that you may have missed. And we all rely on these lists. Sleaze Rocks does it, and most everybody does it. CGCM, they do theirs, their top 20s. Each guy does theirs. So you go to these lists and you find stuff. And believe me, I find stuff every year that I did not know about. So I'm a year late on it. But then you got new music. There's so much out there. We're getting bombarded with it right now. It's starting to get to where the sucky shit is getting drowned out by the good shit. I mean, so let's bring on Rich, Tim, and Dio. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Thank you for being here. I mean, you guys are some of the best minds I know. You all three turned me on to music a lot, so it's like when I did this, it was a no-brainer on who I wanted to have here. Hey, fuckers, that's gotta be Will Mass. There's only one person that says that, and that's gotta be Will Mass.
Gotta love StreamYard because you just have to. Well, you know it by there are comments, but
oh no, that's Mike Floros.
Oh, Mike Floros in the house. What's up, Mike Floros?
Is in the house. He's not working. I go right over here, and I got my iPad opened up, so I go over there and I kind of just swipe to see who's commenting, so that when they don't do like they're told, like Mike Floros, and allow StreamYard to use your name, I have to go over here and find out who it is. But so that's Mike Floros. Feel free to comment, whatever, just questions for these guys, anything. Just interact. We're here to interact with you and turn you on to some new music, hopefully. I know it. I guarantee you you're going to find something new. So let's start with Rich. Introduce yourself to people that may not know who the fuck you are.
I think there's a lot of people that don't know who I am, and the people that know me don't want to know me. So,
stop it.
My name is Rich the Meister Dillon. I'm from CGCM Rock Radio, and I appreciate you having me on today to talk about some of our highlights from 2022.
2022. Tim Swift, who the fuck are you?
I am fucking nobody. People are like, what band are you in? I'm like, I'm not in a fucking band. So I'm basically a nobody. No, I'm Tim Swift. I'm just your general rock and roller, hanging out in the scene, hanging out with people, and I thought I'd come on here and spit a little bit about the year in review. So a lot of people know who I am. You just come up and say hi if you don't know me already.
And you're here to show off that beautiful hair.
Gorgeous
locks.
Well, I was going to bring up a point because I was like, now that we're at this age, because I mean, I'm 50 plus, like probably a lot of the people that are out there. Like, how many people actually like freak out now when the brush goes through and then, and you rip one out, and I'm like, fuck, I'm never getting that one back.
I know.
Exactly. See, look at Rich.
Right. That's us.
Like when I was 20, I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Just take half of it off my head. It'll grow back in a month. Now I'm like, shit.
Now you got to keep it.
Yep.
Tony Dio, who are you?
Tony Dio from North Carolina, just a music connoisseur, collector, all around rock and roller.
You couldn't tell by the amount of CDs behind you. Jesus.
They're all
and all the 8 tracks are in front of me.
Oh my God. Dude. And all the albums are probably stored in another room.
They're in another room. Actually, yeah.
Jesus. Yeah. You got a lot of music. I got to get over there one of these days. One of these days when I'm in North Carolina, I got to get over there.
Yeah, man.
I mean,
visit the Metal Emporium.
The Metal Emporium. I was just in Atlanta. I was too busy to go to Tim's house. We were hanging out one night, and then I was busy the next night. So one of these days, I'm gonna get in that place too, because you got a lot of dragon shit.
Yeah, that's my little dungeon behind me here with all the fancy lights and stuff. I don't know. I just kind of need a zen place to retreat to after a long day at work. So that's
there you go. You gotta have it. You gotta have it. Turn on some music. Have the dragon spitting fire and incense and all that crap. I mean, yeah, hell yeah.
Somebody coined it really well. A hippie freak right there. See? In the
hippie freak.
Hippie freak.
Hippie freak. Tim Swift. Hippie freak. Who the fuck said that? Hey, go back and go do your thing like you're supposed to. Oh, that's Mike Floros. We'll just ignore Mike Floros today because he didn't do it. He's Facebook user. We don't talk to Facebook users.
Don't ignore Mike. He's Superman. He'll just show up at your house and fucking like that.
Superman. All right. So we're going to talk music. We're going to talk albums that got released in 2022 that are topping our list. We're going to talk shows that we went to that topped our list, surprise bands, surprise albums, maybe a wild card to be thrown in there where it just came out of fucking nowhere and just wow. Maybe not a lot of people like to talk about their disappointments, but there was some disappointments for me, and they're good, but they just didn't live up to what I expected. And I'm sure you guys got some where you went, wow, this just didn't. And it usually happens with the sophomore release. And this time for me was, I'll say, their sophomore release. Good, but not eh. So let's start off with, give me a couple, Dio, that these don't have to be in order, but a couple that you will stand out to you.
Oh, not ones that I was disappointed in. Because I ever say,
if you want to do disappointed right off the bat,
I can't really think of anything I was disappointed in because the good thing now is you can stream and listen to anything before you buy it. So you go, okay, this isn't doing it for me, and you just move on. Right. There was so much good stuff that came out this year. I mean, even bands that I don't really even follow, but I somewhat like. I've heard some stuff that I was just like, wow, this is really good. Like Megadeth, for instance. I'm not a big follower of Megadeth. I love the early stuff. I heard the new album is what I've heard from it's great, so I haven't purchased it, but it's just, what I've heard is really, really good stuff. But if you want to see, we're going to do top 5 is what you were saying, basically.
Do top 5. Do a couple of them. Start with 5 and do 5 and 4. We'll each do 5 and 4.
Okay. We'll start off with, actually, this band, this record came out late last year, so I didn't get it until like January or so. Band is called Tower, and they're from New York City. Great hard rock band, just straight up hard rock, metal influenced band. Hard driving songs. They have a female singer. She's got a great, robust voice, kind of like Ann Wilson, Doro. Early Lee Aaron. She's got a great singer, and like I said, this is a really, really good album, Tower, and this one's called "Shock the System." And so if they come to your area, definitely check them out. I know they do a lot of touring on the East Coast. They've been down to Raleigh a few times. From there, I'm going to go with my thrash buddies in Municipal Waste, who I just saw last week on tour with High on Fire. Their new album, Electrified Brain, is complete crossover thrash. You think of bands like Nuclear Assault and DRI and stuff like that. And they did it on CD this is a long box, folks.
Long box.
Remember long boxes in the 80s and early 90s? They actually brought back the long box and did a reprint of that. So I've got the CD out, but I just thought I'd show the long box. Nice. But it's just an excellent thrash record. And like I said, we saw them last weekend. Great show. I mean, their mosh pits are just hellacious, man. It's crazy. The singer comes running out once and he threw a trash can into the mosh pit and it just started flying everywhere. Damn. It was crazy. Linda and I sat up in the balcony and watched that, too old to get in that like the old days. But
dude,
so
you ain't lying.
That'll be my first two out of my top 5 there.
First two. Rich, your first two. Well, I know you said you haven't got yours done yet.
Well,
it changes every day for me.
Yeah, mine changes a lot, and it's not set right now because we haven't released it for CGCM. So right. I can't, even if I have it set, I can't really tell you the exact order here. But I can talk about a lot of albums that I really liked.
There you go.
I tend to go for a lot of the odd stuff that people have probably never heard before. The underdogs, some underground bands, some new discoveries. So I got a list here. Let me just open the phone. A couple that I really liked that maybe aren't as well known would be Fellskin, the album Out of the Light. It came out in February. They're a band from Switzerland. Just really good melodic, heavy melodic rock, I would call it. Yeah, that's probably the best I can. You can find, like it's melodic, but it's got a good heavy edge to it. You can find it on YouTube if you want to check that out. It's Fellskin, Felskin, and they're out of Switzerland. So I recommend checking them out if you're looking for something new. And then a band out of, I believe they're out of Norway called Kardang. They're an independent band that actually reached out to us here at CGCM and asked if they could send some songs over for us to give a listen to. And I really liked it. I liked the whole album. And that'd be another one that I would recommend checking out. Just good hard rock.
Just good hard rock.
Yeah.
Gotta love just good hard rock.
That's what I do.
Tim.
Yeah. So, I mean, the stack is thick. The deck is stacked, right? So, right. We all go out on journeys every now and again, but I would say if I had to pick two to get you started, if you want to venture out and just kind of be a little different and not stay at home, I would look at Edge of Forever, which is off of Frontiers. You're probably going to hear a lot of records off of Frontiers. I would go for Edge of Forever. That's Alessandro Del Vecchio. He's on every band that's probably on Frontiers records. But I think it's more or less his freshman offering as kind of his own first solo project. It's really good melodic hard rock, a lot of dynamics to it. Definitely a really good listen, and it's got a little bit for everybody. So Edge of Forever for sure. And then, if you want to stay safe and stay in the pocket, I know the European scene's kind of gotten hot here in the last couple of years, which is probably a long time coming. But I would say as far as, in the honorable mention category, I would probably say one of the better albums to check out would be Crash Diet's Automaton.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was a fantastic record, considering that was sort of coming out of the COVID period when, we were starving for music to begin with. But really happy with the new singer, Gabriel, what they're on singer number 3 at this point.
Right.
But definitely Crash Diet. I think Gabriel kind of brings home a little bit of the flavor of, actually, there's a 4th singer. Excuse me. I take that back. He brings in a little bit of the flavor of all 3 of those collectively. So he brings a little bit of the Dave Leppard, a little bit of the Simon Cruz, and a little bit of Ollie Herman. So I think, definitely if you want some good, hard, glammy rock in your face.
Right.
Yeah.
It is a good, that one surprised me on how good it was.
I was actually kind of disappointed with the Crash Diet.
Really?
I was looking for more their older kind of vein. that's a lot sleazier, a lot grittier. And this to me was
Right.
more in the realm of a Heat or Eclipse album with more that not keyboard driven, but that melodic rock sound of Heat
Yeah.
and Eclipse, which to me is not the Crash Diet sound. It needs to be sleazier for me. So I was a little bit disappointed with the Crash Diet album based on that. Overall, it's a good album. I enjoy listening to it. We were talking about disappointments earlier, and I was looking for their sleazier stuff, and they seem to have changed direction. So
Fair point.
And they do. It seems like they do with every. Some bands do it with every. And Crash Diet, their first couple were the sleazier ones, and then now they kind of matured in their sound a little bit. But they still got that. They still get me, and I'm still there with them. Some have lost me, and others, I'm still there. And and I get your point. It's not as sleazy as. Like even like Generation Wild and this and that. I mean, it's good. I like it. It was one of my surprises. Definitely. I'll go with one. Let's go with fifth. Heat. I dig it. I mean, new singer, which was the old singer, and he's back. Why is his name escaping me?
Kenny Leclermo.
Kenny Leclermo.
Leclermo, yes. Growell leaves. Kenny comes back. Everybody's disappointed. Everybody's bitching about it, saying, they're not going to be as good anymore. I dig Heat 1. Heat 1 is the first one is one of my favorites, man. 1,000 Miles and Feel It Again. I mean, them songs were just like, wow. And so when he came back, I was kind of looking forward to it. And boom, saw him on the Monsters of Rock cruise. Dude owned the stage. Yes, he's not the performer that, Eric was, but he's still fantastic. I mean, it just does it for me. And Force Majeure, I didn't have high expectations, but it killed it for me. I mean, I was very, very pleased with it. It's, like I said, it's in my top 5. Easy. And then Treat for number 4. These guys are under the radar like crazy. It's called The End Game. Under the radar. Nobody gives them any look. I mean, but they constantly, for me anyway, every album is fantastic to me. And this one, they're getting up there in age, and they were releasing another album like, it's got to end soon. They're going to be, this one just is filled, to me, there's no filler in it. It is a great album. Singer's fantastic. It's just a great album.
That's a perfect example. I'm sorry, I have to jump in. That's a perfect example to me of a band that should have got a lot more ground than it did. They've been around since the 80s. And a lot of people haven't even heard of them, right? So really, they should have been more of a household name by now, because you're right. They've been putting out good, solid hard rock for, 30 years, right?
30 years, man. You go back to, can't remember that, but there's many albums. They've got a discography that starts, like you said, in the 80s that, nobody really pays attention to. We were driving in the SUV back from Wasp that one night, or we were going to Wasp, and you had Treat blasting, and I'm like, oh yeah, here we go. And I mean, like 3 or 4 songs were playing out. I'm like, yes, Treat.
Well, you know what? I think just opinion wise, as far as Treat goes, I mean, that's kind of like what we were up against, 35, 40 years ago. We didn't have the mediums that we have now, like the internet and social media, and the ability to sort of instantaneously pass music around. I mean, we were passing tapes off to each other, or like, luckily we'd see each other at a show, or we'd look in Metal Edge magazine. And while maybe Treat got some honorable mention, when you talk about the European scene in general, unless they were some big band or they were getting the money from the record companies to really be pushed in America, there's a lot of fantastic music out of Europe that really just sort of flew under the radar. So you kind of, dare I pick on America, but here in the US, we're sort of like spoon fed everything, especially if you're going down the general, routes to get your music and what you're listening to, radio or however you're picking it up, buying albums, buying records. But yeah, a ton of great music over in Europe. I mean, you could spend a whole entire decade in the 80s going through European rock bands that all kind of, like Victory or, bands of that.
Victory, easy.
Yeah. I mean, the list goes on, I mean, Bonfire. I mean, they were around, they were there. They were always sort of poking at the edges, but they just, had a hard time breaking through.
And that's the truth.
They were great. Treat was a really, really good band. I've got quite a few of their earlier CDs. I need to get the new one. I've heard some of it. Thought it was really good. What was the last album they did? I was
Graceland.
Yeah, I was trying to see the title. I've got it behind me back here, and that was a really good record. They kind of even some of the stuff they did in the '90s when they changed. They had well, there's one guy that sang for them for a while. The guy that was in Candlemass a few years back. Matt Levin.
Mm-hmm.
They did a record with him that I thought was really good, and it was in the late '90s, early 2000s. I think it was just self-titled Treat album. It was really good. But from Treat to Heat, you're talking about Heat. I mean, I loved. I really got into them when Address the Nation came out.
Oh yeah.
But I went back and I bought Freedom Rock after that, and I didn't like it as much. But Kenny's a great singer, but just Eric was just like on a different level to me. So I was a little disappointed to hear he'd left because, didn't know what we were going to get. And the new Heat record is really good. Kenny did a really good job with it.
Yeah.
It's a good, solid record. And it's definitely, it'd be in my top 20 for sure. It's not my top 5, but it'd be in my top 20 for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, my thoughts on Heat in that regard is, Heat always seems to be uberly resilient. I mean, if you think about, you go back to the earlier records when it was the 5 guys, right? And then you sort of had the shift and change when Kenny leaves and Eric comes in, and, and then, out of the gate, Address the Nation, great record. And then over time, Eric Rivers leaves, right? And so you think, oh my God, what's going to happen? They're not going to be the same band. They're losing one of their key members. But I think Dave DeLone, carried the torch well, after Eric left. And then to see Kenny come back after all this time, I don't think any of us saw it, written on the wall that was what was going to happen. But I think Eric picked the right time in his career to move forward and try to do other things. But I had absolute faith that Kenny coming back would kind of help them, continue the role that they're on. You're right. It is different. He sounds different. They probably had to tune down a little bit to do some of the stuff that Eric was pulling out of his hat. But for a lot of people, Kenny coming back, it was like, thank God. A lot of people didn't like the Eric era.
Huh.
Be shocked. I mean, but not here. Here, everybody's just kind of now learning.
I don't know anybody did.
Yeah, they heard about him. They found out about Heat when Eric got thrown in a pool on Monsters of Rock cruise. Although they had been here many times before.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I saw him twice. I saw him twice before more. But what I would like to see now is the obvious thing. And that is see Eric come back and do, an album with all 5 of them again.
Oh my God.
And maybe try to go back to their roots a little bit without, getting too soft on it, but come back and do a nice solid melodic rock album with all 5 of the original guys.
Right. Or have Heat and Skid Row on the ship. Now you get Eric could jump on stage every now and then, or do a couple songs.
How about a Heat Skid Row tour?
I'm in.
Yes.
I'm all over this. We got to get, okay, you're working on Atlanta. I'll work on South Carolina. And Theo, you got North Carolina. We got to make this happen.
Yeah. Just got to find the money. That's all.
We've got Skid Row coming, but they're with Buck Cherry. I think it's in March.
Well, that's their latest ride. And to Mike Flores' comment, you're right? Because Dave and Jonah write everything pretty much. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. This here, the Facebook user here is Helena.
Yep.
That's Helena.
She was the one who called out when I made the mistake on how many singers have been in Crash. I feel like we should have a show just about bands that have had more members than you can shake a stick at.
Right.
Starting with LA Guns.
And Helena, man, she is
That'd be the whole show.
Very wise from Brazil, and she is extremely wise and versed in music. I'm not.
She knows
shocked.
her shit. She
She
knows her
her
shit. Yeah, she
You
does.
know,
And I'd like to point out her last name is also my nickname.
That's true.
this is
That's
true.
true. Yeah.
This is very true.
Can't go wrong there.
Yeah.
I guess and she's changing it as we speak.
Yeah, right. Can you blame her?
No. Okay. All right. Let's go with shows now. Couple shows that you saw. You know, we all have our. I don't know that you could top 5 this, but give me
I can.
maybe I can. I know who my number 1 was. I do know that, but they're trying to rank the shows. You know.
Yeah, I
But,
have a hard time ranking shows, but
right. So give me a couple that you that really stood out this year to you, Tony.
At the beginning of back in what was it, March, I guess, of the year, I went to Houston, Texas, to the Hell's Heroes Fest. It was 3 days, and it's all pretty much a lot of old school bands from you know, like more extreme stuff, not really death metal, but the thrash and power metal and traditional metal and so forth, mixed with a lot of upcoming bands that play that same style. So I mean, I saw Candlemass, Riot, Sirathungo. Never seen Sirathungo. That was really cool to finally see them. Been a fan for years. Dark Angel, Whiplash, Medieval Steel, Exciter, Hellstar, and amongst some others. And then they had like these newer bands like Haunt and Screamer and Night Demon, Savage Master, Saber, and that being the point, actually, I discovered this band Saber. 3 bands that I discovered there that I thought were really cool that I've listened to a lot: Midas, War Cloud, and Saber. And they're all these are all American bands from the U.S. that play traditional heavy metal.
Cool.
It's just old school metal.
Yeah.
So that was a great show. I mean, just hanging out. I mean, it was tiresome too, because it was just constantly bands playing. And they had this venue was huge. They had a huge stage downstairs, and then they had a small stage upstairs. So if you wanted to catch one of the bands playing upstairs, you had to like leave before the band you're watching downstairs was finished to get upstairs to get a spot, because the room wasn't as big.
Right.
If you wanted to catch somebody, so, and most of the time you could catch everybody, but it got off schedule a little bit. But but it was a great show, and it was just, and saw so many people that I know, you know, from Facebook land and people I hadn't seen in years and stuff. Everybody came for this festival, and they're doing it again next year, actually.
Nice.
I was at that as well. That you're right. That was a great event. But that second stage, there was a couple times I wanted to see a band, so I got there early and I was right up the front. And then I kind of wanted to get downstairs to see the next band. I couldn't get out because
you couldn't get out. Yeah, there's like
there.
one way.
All right. Well, I guess I'll stay the whole show.
It was packed. Yeah,
it was a great event though.
I drank a lot of Lone Star beer.
Lone Star beer.
Yeah, which is like, I think it's like PBR or something, basically.
It's like Texas's freaking milk.
Texas
I mean, everybody drinks it breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And, Lone Star beer.
Another cool show I went to was a festival like that. It was actually in Greensboro, North Carolina. It was called the North Carolina Chainsaw Massacre Metal Fest.
Jesus.
And it was a horror / heavy metal convention, basically. They had some people from the horror world there, and then they had a bunch of bands, and it's mostly death and thrash metal bands. I mean, they had Nuclear Assault, Demolition Hammer, Nasty Savage, Incantation, amongst some other bands that they did. And like Ari Lehman, who was the first Jason that came out of the water at the end of the first Friday the 13th film. He's there. And he also has a band called First Jason, and they played at the show.
What?
And that was pretty cool. And they had like the guy that played the grandpa in the first Chainsaw Massacre movie, and Mark Price, who was Ragman in Trick or Treat, author Skippy on Family Ties.
Yeah.
He made an appearance there, and it was really cool to meet him. But yeah, it was a really, really cool show, and they're going to be doing that again next year. That's actually the show that's the same weekend as M3, so that's why I won't be at M3. I'll be at Chainsaw Fest, because I can't really disclose who's playing. The only band I know I can say is Possessed is playing.
Wow, Possessed.
Jesus.
But got some other old school bands and some cool newer extreme bands that are going to be playing that weekend, and it's going to be, like I said, the first weekend in May in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Damn.
Pure metal.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
Tim.
Nice. Well, ironically, I didn't get out to a whole lot of national stuff that was kind of coming through. I kind of orbit around this strange. I call Atlanta the land of the tribute band because that seems like that's where we kind of exist.
Atlanta really is.
Yeah, well,
like Raleigh.
it puts butts in seats and beers in hands. So, if I had to go back and look at the three that were most recent, they would be more mainstream kind of stuff. But I thought I thought that the Bad Marriage Tesla show that came through was really solid. I mean, I think the guys in Bad Marriage are riding a nice wave right now with what they're doing and kind of getting that push from the guys in Tesla. I mean, I've seen Tesla a billion times. So was there anything groundbreaking at a Tesla show? No, not really. They're solid through and through, but I really am enjoying the Bad Marriage ride. I think they've come on the scene at the right time and they're getting the exposure. I mean, a lot of the guys in that band are older, like, like we are. So, I mean, you get that one shot at glory, you go ahead and take it. So I thought that was
doing well.
I thought that the Midnight Devils Pretty Boy Floyd Enough's Enough show that came through Georgia here recently was pretty solid. It had been a while since I'd seen Pretty Boy Floyd, and like with many of the bands nowadays, it's basically, the singer and he's the only original member, and it's just a bunch of scabs that, they pick up along the way. So unfortunately, it would have been cooler to see, I forget his name. His name's escaping me right now. The original guitar player, but I don't know what happened to him. He just kind of fell off the face of the planet.
Right.
But lastly, I would have to say, hands down, show of the year for me, without a doubt. And most would probably say I'd take the band that's on your shirt right now, Mike, as being probably the icing on the cake. Dude, I thought Armored Saint slayed.
Armored Saint was fantastic.
John Bush was on. Those guys sounded tight. The energy was there. And it just brought back, images of my youth. When you bought that first Armored Saint, the March of the Saint album, and you're looking at these dudes in friggin', it was a cartoon drawing, but I mean, they're in armor and everything, and they still kind of dress that way, with the mail and all that stuff. I mean, and to me, that kind of captured the essence of metal. It was like, it's medieval in a lot of ways. It can be, bloody and gory, and it can be pretty and hairspray too. But I think, that really captured that moment. And they played stuff off the first record, and it was just live. I mean, they were no tracks, they were no nothing. They were, raw and ready to go. And they just punched me in the face, and I'm like, thank God I got to this show. And Wasp sounded awesome, but they typically always do. I didn't expect anything less from Blackie and the group. But Armored Saint was just,
they were fantastic.
Spot on. They sounded fucking fantastic.
They could have been the headliner. Easy.
Yeah, I saw them in Charlotte, right after you guys, and it was amazing. It's definitely one of my favorites of the year as well. It was just, Armored Saint came out of the gate with Rain of Fire. And I've seen a lot of bands over the years, and Armored Saint was one of the few bands I have never seen. So I finally got to see them. I've seen John Bush probably in Anthrax about 5 times. Wow. I never saw Armored Saint. And they delivered. Can you deliver? And they delivered for sure. Yeah, it was really cool. And Wasp just put on a great set. I mean, can't complain about the show at all. It was full on,
Yep.
Absolutely. Rich, what you got? You've been everywhere. You've been, I'm almost positive it's going to be like Hellfest or whatever. I mean, you've been everywhere.
It's funny you say that. I've not got to see Wasp this year because they are not coming to Canada, and they've not been to any of the festivals that I've been to. But I did see them a few years ago, and I agree. They still sound fantastic. Blackie and the crew sounded fantastic a few years ago when I saw them. But you're right. All of the concerts on my top list, they all took place in Europe. Somewhere
exactly they did.
We don't have any concerts in Toronto. Well, very few. So I go to Europe a lot. And
Elena, exactly. Is there a fucking band Rich has never seen? I don't know. I can't.
Yes, there are a few, but they're getting less and less, let me tell you. But probably my favorite, absolute favorite show of the year this year was I got to see Ronnie Atkins, his first show with his new solo band. The first time he's been back on stage since the cancer.
Yep.
So that was it was really it was a great experience. We barely fit it in the middle of doing 2 other festivals. I landed in Stockholm. I had about an hour to get to the hotel, drop my bag, and get to the gig on time before it started. And the sound in the venue was not very good. It was like a tin roof. So there was not any insulation. So the sound was just kind of bouncing around, and it really kind of sounded like shit. But it didn't matter. Nobody cared what it sounded like. It was just emotional to see him up there doing his thing.
Yeah.
So it was just a very uplifting thing that way. So that was probably one of my favorite concert moments of the year. And then the day right after that, I went to Gothenburg, Sweden, to see him again. And that time the sound was much better, and it was more about the music that time. But that first one, it was just it's hard to describe. You kind of had to be there to feel it. There was just a magic about him being on stage. So
that's why you go to every show. It doesn't matter if you've seen the band before. You go to every show because every show is different, and there's a different feeling. And you try to relate this to people and say, "Hey, doesn't matter that you've seen them." Some people just check it off their list and say, "Yep, seen them."
So Rich, this was his solo band.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Which consisted of Chris Laney, Rob Marcello, Morten Sandager, Alan Sorensen, and somebody else, Pontus Egberg.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Gotta have a band with a Pontus in it. I mean,
right?
Yeah.
It doesn't.
I've actually seen him
count.
4 times this year. So
yeah. So you want to go to a treat show? You can go see Pontus. You want to go to a go see Pontus. Yeah.
So I'm sure he did a couple Pretty Made songs.
Yeah, there was. I think there was 3 in the set. Each night. I mean, now I got to remember back to that, but yeah, he definitely does a few in all the. Like I say, I've seen him 4 times this year. The Ronnie Atkins band, and he's put some Pretty Maids in the set every time. So, and he's working on a new album. So hopefully, we can be seeing that next year. So,
and I'll add.
I mean, whoever thought he would do an album again after the cancer and everything?
Well,
right?
true, and that's what I was going to say is that we unfortunately have to spend too much time in social media while people harp on particular vocalists who don't quite have what they used to have, back in the day. And I think it's fair. Everybody gets older. But I mean, when you think about somebody like Ronnie Atkins, I mean, guy's been doing it forever and he still sounds fucking fantastic. He's amazing. His vocals are on. He's still hitting all the notes and doing some amazing stuff. I mean, so there are people up there that you can go see where you're like, wow. I mean, he's not some young buck, who's they're fresh.
Not at all. And if I'm not mistaken, he was a fairly heavy smoker as well. So
yeah,
think of the damage that's not only done, with the cancer, but like to his vocal cords. And you're right, he still sounds great.
Yeah.
Yep. The only time I've ever seen him was on Mork. And it just was stellar.
Yep.
Pretty Maids were absolutely on target. One of my favorite shows on, I think it was 19.
Yeah, you're right. It was 2019.
Yep.
And was that the only time they were on? They were on twice, I think, weren't they?
Yeah, that's the only time I see it. I don't know.
I want to say I want to say yes, but I feel like they might have had to pull out of the second one.
I think you're right. I think
there was one that they had to cancel. I thought that was the third one, but it might have been.
You're probably right, Rich.
Probably not. Don't worry.
Oh, he's right. I mean, even if he's wrong, he's right.
I'm Canadian. That's all.
We're still trying. We're still trying to count how many times Pink Cream 69 has been on the boat. So it's all good, man.
I can tell you that
back again.
I think they've been on twice and once at the pre-party.
Yes.
Yeah. So
they played 3 shows that year.
Yeah,
right.
They did.
Yep.
It was great.
I saw the pre-party show. That was fantastic.
David Redmond.
I've also seen the other 2.
Yeah.
Should. Yes. Like I say, go to every show, right? Yeah. Go to every show. A show that's still okay. Most of mine, I didn't get out to many single shows, on land. I guess the only shows I really got to were like Monsters on the Mount. I did them big ones more just to, get more bang for my mega buck, I guess you could say. But the ones that really, God, there were so many though, but the one that really stood out to me was on Morgue. And they only did 35 minutes. 35 minutes. They only got one album out. And it was like, you turned me on to him, Tiff. And it was Nestor. They absolutely crushed it. And I was,
Look at Rich.
Rich. I know. He
hate
doesn't like
him.
Nestor. He fucking hates him. And, I don't understand why I still talk to this guy. But they,
I told you I had hot opinions. You might not want me here.
I know, and I love you. You can't build a show around people that agree with you. You got to have no men too.
Yeah.
But Nestor just absolutely crushed it. I was, once I first listened to the CD, I was hooked on him, and usually you can't bring it live. If some bands better on CD, not live. So I was like, okay, so got there early, got really good seats, and they just absolutely brought Gabby Ray out to do Tomorrow, and that was just absolute great. Tobias vocals, absolutely fantastic, just blew me away.
Yeah, I bet it was good.
Yeah,
my friend Laura Brown saw that. She brought me back an autographed CD.
Oh, nice.
From the cruise, from the band. Yeah, love that album. It's a great album.
I'm curious to hear Rich's opinion. Like, I'm just curious.
Right.
Like, what don't you like about him? Like, what makes him not like?
Absolutely everything, to be honest with you.
I've seen everything.
And it's not that I haven't tried. I've seen them 6 times this year. 6 times.
Wow.
He even goes to shows that he doesn't like the band.
Yeah.
Well, after about
That's
the third song,
dedication.
I'm in the photo pit taking photos. 3 songs, you're done with photos. I'm out of there for a beer because I didn't enjoy it. To me, and everyone's different, and I respect that everyone has a different opinion, and I like that because I don't want everybody to like what I like.
Right.
But I just find it very boring. I think it all sounds pretty much the same. I think there's no oomph to the music. I just think it's flaccid.
Right. And I guess
That's my opinion.
And
Except the Call the Police song.
you're not
That was good.
wrong.
I see what you did there, Rich.
The
No,
call.
I mean, I think it's fair. And I was going to say, going into all this, when we were talking about our top 5, I mean, we can call out, any band that we want to say that we enjoyed it, but music is subjective, right? So,
Right.
I mean, when you think about it in general terms, I mean, there'll be a ton of bands that somebody loves, and you're like, why the fuck do you like them? They suck balls, and stuff like that. And that's reasonable. I mean, we're not designed to all like the same thing. I mean, I think we're more or less here to sort of give people suggestions of things that they can listen to. Now, while I can understand why Rich maybe didn't see the dynamic in Nestor that really kind of like lit his fire, and they were like, wow, or anything like that. I think for me, and I'll just say why I think I fell into, the Nestor, band camp or whatever you want to call it, is I loved how they kind of came out of the gate with the marketing and the direction of what they were trying to do to get the band on the radar. Because in today's day and age,
Money.
well, right, there was a ton of money there, right? I mean, if you even consider the first 2 videos, which were effectively setting up a storyline, right? Your adversaries and your foes and all that stuff. And I just kind of liked how they tried to sort of rope back in that whole vibe of the 80s when we used to watch like movies like Flash Gordon and the Weird Science and all those elements of it that kind of made it like an HBO movie. And I think that that's what they were trying to target, because really, when you break it down, I mean, how do you define yourself in this, in this bit of saturation that we're still kind of experiencing, even though for us it might be niche? You know what I mean? Music, for us, it's like, most of the time we turn on and it's hip hop or country or something like that, which we don't listen to as much. But when you talk about Nestor and having to kind of find their way into, the web of what we're all listening to, I think they took an interesting path to kind of reinvent themselves. I mean, they were a band. It's not like they weren't. But ultimately, I can understand where, if you're more dynamic in your catalog of what you listen to, it might seem a little myopic.
Sorry, go ahead.
They do have that. See, for me, what got me was the hooks, the melodies, the way, Tobias's voice goes perfectly with their guitar section. I mean, it works, and that's what got me. And I'm a hooks kind of guy. I'm a, big choruses, arena sound. That's how I roll. And it's when I heard them, that brought me all the way back to where I began. I mean, back in the '80s, where you had that the guitars and the vocals kind of harmonized together, and so it worked for me, and it doesn't work for everybody.
I think there's so many bands out there that are doing that. Why is
Exactly.
this the band that brought you back and not, say, Heat, which is pretty much doing very similar, right?
God, that's such an interesting point, Rich. It's
because
go
Nestor
ahead,
is bought their way and they're in your face.
Yeah,
right.
They're right here.
But
you can't get rid of them.
When I first heard Address the Nation, which was back in 13, 14, 15, somewhere around there. When I first heard Address the Nation, that got me where, oh, wow, my style of rock is still out there somewhere. I first heard that, and that's when I heard like bands like Gothard and the first time I heard Crazy Legs, that around that era. And it was like, okay, there's music still coming out that I can relate to, and I don't have to listen to Godsmack or Five Finger Death, all these other bands where I was like kind of lost and my soul wasn't fulfilled with these bands. And now, the whole European scene, it's not just Nestor, it's Crazy Legs, Heat, Wildness. You got these bands out there that are just kissing dynamite. They're just killing it, and they sound like I prefer, I guess.
It come from it's a sound from a period in time. But another thing about Nestor as well is the campiness of the band. They have the
choreography and stuff.
They have like in the videos, you have the throwbacks to all the '80s imagery.
Right.
It's almost like watching a Karate Kid or something, or Stranger Things, in other words.
Right.
Like that throwback to that period with their look, the videos, the stuff in the videos, the way, just the way the whole video is it pans out. It's like watching a video from the '80s.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're kind of bringing back a period of time visually as well as musically.
Yeah. And you brought up a great point, because the shows, Cobra Kai and Stranger Things, how much would we enjoy these shows if it wasn't for the music? Now
the music helps,
it does help, and it sends
but
you
it's still
back.
Good. They're still good shows.
They're still great shows. I mean, except for that one. Oh my God, I think it was on HBO Max. I can't remember the name of it, but it was Peacemaker. I could not get into that show whatsoever.
I thought it was hilarious.
It was hilarious, but I'm like, I'm done.
But it definitely gave a shot in the arm to the '80s music, because they really they had a whole episode that all the music was Hanoi Rocks.
Right.
So,
Peacemaker
there's people that have no clue who Hanoi Rocks was until they saw that,
Yeah.
We were talking to at M3 this past year. We were talking to the guy that played guitar in the Choir Boys, and he's not an original member, but he was telling Linda and I a story about how his kids think he's the most uncool guy in the world. Here's Dad with his old man rock and his long hair and all, and they're like, he's just totally uncool. He said when that episode aired where he was singing the Choir Boy song, and that he showed it to his son, and he said, "Do you know who this is?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's Peacemaker." He goes, "Well, that's our song." He goes, "Now I'm cool, Dad." Dad's
cool,
song
Dad.
is in the show.
Right now it's like, oh, we get it now.
Yeah,
it's the music in Peacemaker was absolutely fantastic. I mean, and what it does is, I loved it because a lot of people didn't like that. They're like, oh, ours our bands, they don't like them being on a commercial, Chick-fil-A commercial or this or that. I heard a Motley Crue song on this, and they hate it. But you know what? That song is going to bring somebody to this music.
Look, if it wasn't for Peacemaker, 80% of the people out there would never have heard of Wigwam.
Right. Exactly.
And this is the truth.
Yeah.
You know, and that is absolutely the truth.
And think about those guys in general. You know, I mean, some of them may be a little antagonistic or agnostic to the whole idea of like, coming to America and touring. And stuff. Those guys sat around for decades, probably hoping and praying that they would break through in America, knowing that it was probably one of the toughest markets to get noticed. And then, 30 something years later, they get on a TV show. And one of their older songs at
That's
that.
an old one.
Exactly. And everybody's like, oh, I love that band, and so
it's like, where were you 30 years ago?
So we should all be fortunate in some way, shape, or form, because I mean, not a lot of us have made as many trips to Europe as Rich has. He's been over there quite a bit. I follow his crazy stories on Facebook all the time.
But now I'm jobless, so there's no more trips for a while.
But the point that I'm making is that what, we probably would otherwise not be as fortunate to get the opportunity to see those bands.
Right.
So now they're finally getting their shot to come over here and play. But I wanted to go back to the point because Rich made a very interesting point. He's like, why not Heat over Nestor?
Oh,
and I'm not picking Nestor over Heat. I think for me, Heat certainly is rungs above them in general terms.
Absolutely.
But the parallel that I'll make is that, I think because Heat's sort of been in my, music blood for such a long while now, that I kind of expect nothing less from them. I expect them to impress me every time. So maybe I've become a little numb to the whole Heat phenomena, because I'll always promote them in general. But I think, when all the shit is flying at you at 1,000,000 miles an hour, new, and you're wanting something to be a little different at the time, that was just something that caught me as, oh wow, and okay, I like this entrance by Nestor, and that's kind of like what sucked me in. But I certainly would not put them above Heat in the general hierarchy.
No, I didn't mean Crazy Licks comparison with Heat. Yeah, I meant in general, like Crazy Licks or those kind of bands. But I think a lot of it is too is that they're fortunate. From my understanding, Nestor is fortunate that they've got some money behind them, so they were able to promote themselves well. They're literally on every festival I've been to. That's why I've seen them 6 times this year.
And
I can't get away from
noticed
them,
that,
which I think really helps with people becoming to identify with them and creating the buzz that are getting people to check them out. That maybe other bands just aren't getting, right?
And by way of comparison, a band that I wish would get, a Canadian band at this, that would get way more freaking screen time and stage time than they get is Stryker.
Stryker.
I don't get why people don't bite on them.
Oh
now,
my God.
Yeah, they had a bit more of a speed metal kind of
good band
thing, like early on, and then they get a lot of criticism now from like the old fans that are like, you guys suck now, like they sold out or something. I don't think that's the case. Saw them here at the something Unicorn downtown in Atlanta. They were on tour and they came through Atlanta. I mean, and I knew about them before anyway. Fantastic band. I just wish that I wish they could get the draw that I think they deserve. They just write really catchy, cool ass tunes, and they're fun. They're a really good band.
I agree. Stryker's an excellent band, and maybe I'm a little bit biased because I am Canadian, but I believe we have a lot of great Canadian bands up here, as there's a lot of great Swedish bands, a lot of great American bands, a lot of great German bands. Wherever you are, there's a lot of great music. You just have to go out there and find it.
You gotta find it.
Or Stryker's a great one. So someone here in the comments, Flowride 60, I believe that's Mike Floros, has commented Storm Force, which is another great Canadian band that contains the guitarist, was formerly with Brighton Rock, Greg Fraser. This is his new band, Storm Force. They're my number 2 concert of the year that I saw.
Really?
I just hadn't got to talk about that yet. So
well, Brighton Rock
slide it in now.
Cruise. Brighton Rock was on the cruise.
Yeah, that was the last performance they ever gave before the singer passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I missed that. I didn't go on that was 2020. I didn't do that one. It was right before 2020, right before the pandemic hit. The boat pulled back in and everybody got sick.
We all had to say goodbye for tea.
Yeah, exactly.
See you when.
2 years.
By the way, hi Brad. Thanks for
yes, I see a lot of Facebook user. I don't know who they are.
I know.
Hello, Facebook user.
I'm making sure. Hey guys, it's Wendy Chandler from Cranium Radio.
Oh,
and so hi Wendy.
So
Okay.
we're going back to the picks, the album picks.
Yeah.
Let's go back to albums. We'll get off Nestor now. So,
Okay.
Get off
The
that horse.
Nestor, round table.
Nestor round table. Exactly.
So I guess I'm doing 3 and 4 here, or no, or
2 and 3.
what?
2
and 3.
Oh,
2 and 3. Yeah. So
oh,
number 3, I'm going to go with Savage Master. Great band from Kentucky. Old school heavy metal band. Stacey Savage is the lead singer. They've been I think this is their 4th or 5th album now. I've been a fan since the first one. I've been able to see them a few times recently as well. Always great live. If you like old metal blade bands, like Sierra Thungo and
right.
like Betsy Bitch and stuff like that, you'll dig this. Just good straight up heavy metal. And next up, band from California called Early Moods, and I'm wearing their t-shirt tonight. This is one of my favorite albums of the year. I saw these guys open for Savage Master on their last tour they did with Valiant Thor, and they came through, and I was just blown away by them. If you like the band Trouble, especially the early Trouble when they were on Metal Blade, the pre-Rick Rubin Trouble, you'll really like Early Moods. I mean, these guys are doom. And they're just young guys playing doom. The singer has a very unique voice, kind of a little cross between Eric Wagner and Ozzy Osbourne in a way. But like I said, this is a really good record. Just self-titled Early Moods. They've done an EP before this, but this is their first full-length album. And I saw them last week too. They played the show with High on Fire and Municipal Waste. So it was great to see them again. And like I said, it's just good doom.
Good doom.
Good doom, if there's a such thing as a good doom. Doom is good. Doom and gloom can be good. Can make you happy.
Good.
I don't know Early Moods.
I take it, Tony, you're a big Pentagram fan.
I like Pentagram, and I came into Pentagram late. They were just a band I remember hearing about ages ago, and just came into them, in the last like 20 years or so. So I got to see them a few times as well.
Yeah. They're a DC-based sort of DC-based band, and they were kind of like part of the fabric of us growing up back in the day. Back when Victor, funny that Victor was in a doom band, but he kind of had the cool ass, big black hair, and it was, they were kind of an anomaly, but a lot of people sort of followed along with them, but they're still there.
Yeah, I met Victor several times at Jack's back in the day. Different shows and stuff. And also, I'd say, I'm a big fan of their stuff, and Joe Hasselvander played with them as well. He was Raven, and Joe's a great guy.
Yeah. Cool guys. I mean, if you're not into doom, I can understand why, it's
the documentary that came out on Bobby. That was definitely, that gave them a lot of boost in popularity. A lot of people saw that and they got into them,
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Rich, any more albums you want to
plug?
Sure, I got lots. I got a list.
Oh, I know you do.
I'm waiting for Rich's hot takes. I want Rich's hot takes.
Well, you want to go back to Nestor again, or you want to fresh?
No,
you want something new?
There we go.
What's another
more?
We'll talk about them.
That's well, I want to second the Savage Master that you held up. They're a great band. I love Savage Master. They're in my my 40 or so to whittle down as well. But let's go with something that is probably a little more conducive. A lot of people probably heard this album, Hardcore Superstars, Abracadabra. Maybe not my favorite Hardcore Superstar album, but I still think it was a solid effort from those guys. I think it plays well cover to cover. And it's a good contender for my top 10. And then let's go to maybe a Canadian band. If anyone's ever heard of Sword, they're kind of a cult metal band from the 80s. They had a couple of albums. They just back with their third album this year, and it's pretty heavy. It's really good. I really enjoy it. I need to listen to it a few more times, but something
it is heavier than I remember. Them being.
It's much heavier than the earlier stuff, I think, anyway. Better produced.
Oh, definitely. I mean,
Facebook user loves Sword, whoever Facebook user.
That's got to be Helena.
I need to hear that. Hear that new Sword album.
Jim Hamby.
That's Wendy Chandler
Oh
I
no,
like
it's probably
Sword.
Helena too. No,
And Jim-
I know it's Helena right there on the one before that.
Okay.
In any case, it's a great album.
Yes.
And I'm hoping to get to see them for the first time in early January. If I make a 5-hour trip to Montreal, we'll see how it goes.
Cool.
I think you're gonna do it. I mean, 5.5 hours, that's nothing to you. That's like a blink of an eye.
I'm unemployed.
I
I
Well, you
can't
have
feed
plenty of time
myself.
to get there then.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. I got lots of. I
You
can
got lots
hitchhike
of
my
time.
way there.
GoFundMe account, GoFund Rich
Yeah,
account.
right.
You know,
You think anyone would give me money to go on? See
GoFund the
concert?
Canadian account. You know,
I'll try it.
you know what? Hey, look at this. Helena went back out and back in, and now her name's there. All
Is it
right.
Sword? Yes, you're right. That is Sword is the band in which that Saints and Sinners dude sang.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
Yes.
Whose name I can't remember
Rick-
right off the top of my
Rick-
head. It's Rick or Rich or something. Yeah.
It's Rick
Yeah.
something.
Saints and Sinners.
Rick Hughes.
Rick Hughes. Yep. Yep.
That
Yeah.
was a good band. They won
That was a
album.
great album.
One and done.
Boom, done.
Yep.
And I was just so excited for that album. That came out. Oh, I was all about it. I'm like, music, boom. And then everything fucking shit the bed. But Saints and Sinners, great band. Great band. All right, Tim.
Is it my
You
turn? Is
you
it
can
my
have a
go?
turn.
Is it my go? All right. So
You can have a turn.
yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. So my 3 and 2 albums of the year are Nestor and Nestor. No, I'm joking.
It's okay. I know there's another one coming up from at least
Yeah,
one
Wait
of
till
you.
wait till
people.
you hear number one, Rich.
Well, they
Wait till you hear
reissue.
wait till you hear number one. No. All right, so I'm gonna go with 3 and 2. One is gonna be a younger band, probably out of an area of the planet that most people wouldn't expect rock or metal bands to come out of. But it seems to be coming maybe a little bit more frequent. But I'm going to give the nod to Girish and the Chronicles.
Oh, hell yeah.
Good band. Yeah, they're really good.
They sort of like showed up out of freaking nowhere.
Nowhere.
Yeah, but when you consider a band that's sort of coming out of Indonesia, India in general, that's probably not, the mecca of metal and rock. I know that there's been a few over the years. But, when you talk about talent overall in a young group of guys, obviously they've had nothing but time to sit in their bedrooms and just, hone their skill. But, massive talent across the band, especially between the drummer. He's good, but I'm not going to say he's a Mike Portnoy or anything. But, when you talk about the guitar player and the bass player, uber talented guys, really dynamic and can really play very well. And then if you take Girish just on his own, wow, what a set of pipes on that guy. I know there's several people that are not fans. They think maybe he screams a little too much, but I think you have to consider the dynamic in his vocals, because he really sort of reels in that old school. Like he has a little bit of Bruce Dickinson in him. He's got a little bit of that, Oni Logan, lynch mob kind of vibe going on. He's just got that. He's got that. I wouldn't say he's on the same level, but I would say as far as like, he kind of brings back that whole, Sebastian Bach thing. He's just got these young, just sharp, crisp, and that's not to take anything away from like Dino Jalusic or anybody like that. I'm just saying when you go to put something on and you want to hear something that just smacks you in the face, I think vocally he's just on and he's powerful. So they had a new album, Hail to the Heroes, that dropped in 2022. So if you want to go check out a really good band, unassuming from a place in the world you would never expect a really good rock band to come out. Definitely Girish and the Chronicles. Okay, so let's shift gears.
Great.
Let's shift gears a little bit, because I kind of dance around. I listen to a little bit of everything. I like how Tony's kind of going down like the hard rock, heavy metal vibe band. Like I listen to bands like Ambush and some of these other bands that are kind of doing that classic hard rock metal. But I'm going to go prog metal per se this time around. People who know me probably think that I probably throw Marath like right out into the front.
Right.
But they didn't put out anything new in 2022, so I can't really quantify them. However, if you are going to go to Prog Power in 2023, they're on the bill. I have to still yet get my tickets. I'm waiting for somebody to fall out, and I can scoop up a ticket for Prog Power here in Atlanta. But I want to see Marath. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Hopefully they'll have a new record by then. But the band I'm going to pick for prog metal, prog rock 2022 is definitely going to be Evergrey, Heartless Portrait, the album that they dropped this year. Somebody gave me a quote one time. They said, you never find a band finds you. And just something
right.
Evergrey kind of came into my scope a little bit later in the game. I'd heard the name a bunch of times. I can't say maybe I remember really hearing them. But they were a band, because I grew up on Queensryche. That was me. I listened to everything, but then when Queensryche kind of showed up, that was it. And then I got my hands on Evergrey. And I would say that most people would say, it's tough for a band to put out one album and then follow that up with a killer second album and just sort of like keep that library going. But, with Evergrey, they've got like 20 years of music you can go through. I think 14 studio albums or something sick like that. But they just progressively get better album after album. And I would say Heartless Portrait is no disappointment at all. So if you like to kind of go off into the prog rock metal sector or vibe, if you're into that thing, definitely would put Evergrey at the top of the list as far as prog metal rock bands to check out.
Cool.
They're a good band. I saw them several times back in the day. I remember they were touring with Arch Enemy once, and saw them. Yeah.
I hadn't heard of them until you mentioned them one day. I was like, okay, gotta check them out, and they're good. I don't mind them a bit.
It's different. I'd say it's a bit of an acquired taste. It's just not like for everybody.
Right. Yeah, when Queensryche came out way back when in 82, 83, that was different. And then you had Rage for Order that was even more different. And I was like, that's in my top 5 all time.
Yeah, I love it now. I remember first hearing it and it was like, I don't know about this.
Oh, it's been one of them staple albums for me forever. So the prog deal I get into, and it's got to be good. It's got, I don't get into it all, but if it's a standout one, so I'll check out Everclear. I haven't checked them out yet, but I will definitely go check them out.
And DGM, if you're interested, try DGM as well.
I think you mentioned them before, and I did check them out. Yep.
You kind of heard a little bit of them in the truck the other night.
Yep.
Yeah, with Sweet Oblivion. Simone Molaroni did that album. Yeah.
Nice. All right, my third. We'll go with my third. I don't have it here, but this is only in there because it's like one of my picks from like. I go old school too. So it was kind of one of them surprise ones because for the last 20 years, they really didn't release anything I dug. I was like, don't care. And then, I was kind of surprised. So it was a surprise for me when they came out with it. And it absolutely was great because they went back to it's almost like they went back in time and captured that sound that they used to have. And that was Scorpions' Rock Believer. I mean, it just got me. There's some filler on there, but not a lot. I mean, they've got like, I don't remember how many songs are on this fucking album, but it kind of got me thinking Blackout. It got me thinking, that era of Scorpions where really good and what I liked and not their newer crap that, other stuff that they've done that I've just never really got back into. After Savage Amusement, they lost me. But then this one kind of railed me back in. It's not my album of the year, but it was my surprise of the year. That just I dug.
Good songs on that album. It's you're right. There's a lot of songs. There was a bonus disc available of them. But there was a lot of stuff on there that kind of over the modern Scorpions. But there was some good throwback tunes on there as well. Like
I think that
I
think that's kind of a problem that seems to me, it's a bit of a problem that seems more and more popular these days. instead of giving out a band putting out a good solid album with 8 to 10 songs on it, like they did in the 80s, a lot of times we're getting albums with like 12, 14, 15, 16 songs. And it's
like
just
that.
too many, I think.
No,
too many.
I don't want that many.
No,
I don't want that
8
many.
to 10. No, that's all. You know.
Yeah, that's what I think, and I think that was my problem with the Scorpions when I first listened to Rock Believer. I'm like, oh, this is good. This exactly brings me back to Blackout and that kind of stuff, and then it just.
You're going looking at.
And
the
I'm
cover.
going, is this thing going to end? You know,
did it start again? What's happened here? Yeah,
there's two versions of it. That one has less songs, but you want all of them. So, but I still haven't bought it yet because it's just.
It's a good album. It's worth it, but
it's too pricey for me to buy. I guess I don't know, but it was a good album. Yeah, but all right now. Wild card band that, okay, maybe it's a local or regional band that put out something that you're like, everybody needs to hear this band. They're not national. They're local. Doesn't even need to be your area. Just some, say they're in Baltimore or Raleigh or Atlanta, whatever. Everybody needs to hear this band, and you want to. This is your wild card.
Oof, that's
Rich.
a tough one.
Rich.
Take me first.
Oh yeah, because I want to hear
first while I'm doing some research. All right, I have no idea where this band is from, but it's somewhere in the U.S. I don't remember all of the details, but it was exactly what you described there. One of those. I'll just throw this on for the hell of it because it's something that's new. I'm like, wow, what is this? This is amazing.
Right.
And if I'm not mistaken, they're a group of young guys. Like I said, from somewhere in the U.S. I was just doing research, but you picked me first, so I had to stop that and close that window to come back here. The band is called Wanted, and the album is called Chain Reaction. I don't know. Has anybody else heard that? Anybody else heard the band Wanted? The album Chain Reaction. It's got
I don't think so.
To me, it's got a very Dokken vibe to it. So if you like Dokken, I think you're going to enjoy it.
Okay, you shared it one time and said something about it, or it was and it was Dokken.
Yeah, somebody did a review on CGCM for it. That's what I was looking up.
So I went and checked it out. I was like, okay, I dig these guys. Okay, that's who. All right.
Yeah, the cover is very plain and boring. It doesn't look like it's going to be anything, and I know you shouldn't judge a book by its cover or whatever, but I'm sorry, I look at album art. If the album art is attractive, I'm probably going to buy the record and I'm probably going to like it more. I know I shouldn't judge it on that, but it is kind of a factor for me because I really do love album art, and this one's just kind of plain and boring, but when you drop the needle on there, it's like, whoa,
nice.
Wow. And they're young guys. They're like 18 to 20. They probably don't even know who Dokken is, but they sound
right. They sound like They heard him on Cobra Kai. Come on.
Right, man, maybe.
Damn well. The Peacemaker. Hey, we want to sound like that band. Wendy Chandler, she chimed in with one of her wild card picks, Blackwater Rising. So I'll have to write that down.
I don't even know what that is.
I don't know who they are, so that's why I'm going to write it down.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Good idea. Tim, wild card.
Good Lord.
Narrow it down to something.
And they have the thing is I probably have a handful that are probably I think now defunct.
You do a couple.
Okay, I'll give you one. I'll give you a wild card.
You can give a couple if you want.
Yeah, and,
I'm gonna give two.
Okay, you're gonna give two.
I'm gonna give two.
I only got one.
Well, that's all you wanted to do. You could have done another one. I mean, there's no rules.
Well, I mean, I certainly would say if you hadn't already heard of them now, I would say definitely Native Sons. If you haven't checked them out thus far, I think Native Sons definitely deserves a listen.
Absolutely.
But the one, if you want something a little different, something a little bit more, old school, which I kind of like that, bring it back home. I would have to say the band Wicked out of New York City.
Wicked's cool. I haven't heard
they're cool.
Got a new EP or something now.
Yeah, and they well, fortunately enough, they've only made one member change, and I think like the last 8-9 years, which was the drummer. I think they picked up a new younger drummer, but they got this kind of Kiss vibe going on, that old 70s kind of leather and studs kind of thing, where they're like Kiss but without the makeup, but all platinum blondes, you know. So like you know, and they're all the singer and the bass player are brothers, so they're all buffed out and like and it's cool because they come in on the platform shoes and stuff, and they, you know, it seems like they're fucking giants standing next to you. But they got that kind of old sweet
Angel
kind of angel vibe. No, exactly, that's dead on, spot on, with a little bit of Kiss thrown in there. They've just got a good, you know, just real raw sound. Like there's no frills, you know what I mean? It's just solid rock and roll, you know what I mean? And I think that they make up for it with a little bit of their look, but you know, just a really good fun band, and they, you know, they work hard. I know that they do a lot to try to get themselves noticed. But I think they definitely deserve a little bit of attention. So definitely Wicked.
Definitely Wicked. Tony.
You know, you were just talking about Scorpions, and I was going to mention there was an EP that came out this year, and it's a band from California, and they're called Entranced, kind of like Scorpions in Trance. But this is Entranced is the name of the band, and they did an EP. I think it's 5 songs. Man, it is really good. I've listened to that a whole lot this year. It would definitely be one of my top picks. If it sounds a lot, there's songs on there that sound like Scorpions. That sounds like 80s, you know, Love at First Sting, Blackout era Scorpions. And then there's some stuff on there that sounds like Uli John Roth era Scorpions that's on it as well. But it's a really cool band, and they're young guys from California. Another thing I've been listening to this last couple of weeks is a band called Mythosphere, and they're from Pennsylvania, I believe. But Victor Abunde, who is the original guitarist in Fate Sworn, and it's a doomy proggy band that he's got. And I've been listening to that a whole lot lately. I just I bought the download off Bandcamp a few weeks ago. And so they're a really cool band to check out as well. They're called Mythosphere.
Mythosphere.
Yeah.
Nice. I dig the name. I mean, I'd buy that album just for the name.
I'm a big fan of the early Fate Sworn albums as well. You know,
so absolutely.
Here's something Victor had, you know, something new going on. It was cool to check out. Yeah.
Right. And that's one of them prog rock bands I dug. I mean, Fate Sworn was absolutely killer back. You know, they came out of nowhere and just grabbed me. Easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I got 2. I can't narrow it down. This is a tie between the 2. First one's Rat Rod. Their first album, you know, it was good, but it was like it didn't really grab me. I mean, it wasn't. So then they were releasing a new one called 4 on the Floor, and I was looking forward to it. I mean, I dug them. I saw them at a backyard barbecue called Bendy Q, and they took the stage. I was over here talking to somebody, and they took the stage, and I'm like, hold on. And I had to go check out the band because I was like, who the fuck is this? And there's one of them bands where that album and their live performance, the live performance was who they were. And the album wasn't maybe produced well enough or something like that. It just didn't sound right to me, and it was good, but it was, you know, but then when I saw them live, I was hooked. And the new album, 4 on the Floor, now sounds great. Really solid album. Just, you know, everybody's got to check them out. A band called Rat Rod. I think they're out of Philly or around that area, around the Philly area or Delaware or something like that. Second band, and they got me because they got that old sleaze sound, and their vocalist, Ian McGregor, he's got that, oh my God, it's just that raspy voice like a rat or a Tammy Down. It just takes you back to the sleaze of the 80s. And, you know, when it took me back, they even released their new album on cassette, which I have not opened and I'm not gonna. It's American Jet Set, and it's called Cat's Got Your Tongue.
Yeah, I've heard that. Good.
These guys got the sleaze, you know, it's just, the first album was really good. And this one just upped the game a little bit, and It's a very solid release. I think everybody should know who American Jet Set is. I go check them out, and you definitely get them on Spotify. And when you listen to them, pretty much almost, I don't want to guarantee, but I'm pretty much going to guarantee that you'll go out and buy the disc. I mean, it's really good. It should be in your collection. Well, wild cards. There's so many of them out there that bands that are not on the national circuit, bands that are just regional or even super regional bands that do get out, 3 or 4 states around themselves, but they need to get out further. People need to know who these bands are.
I wanted to mention one more too. Crimson Steel, local guys from this area, just put their debut album out. It's called Night Creatures, and they're just good power metal, hard rock, mixed female singer, kind of Blackmore style guitar work on it. Good stuff. That's right. Crimson Steel from North Carolina.
And the more you dive in, and the more I listen to, people like you, Tim, and Rich, and different internet radio shows, and different podcasts, and getting to know different bands. Boom, you discover so much more, and there's so much more out there than just the national acts or the big European acts.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. All right, so number one, or top pick, or one that you really, one that just come out and just grabbed you this year. Which album is it? I've got 2 because it's a tie.
You go. The host goes first.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay. First, I'm gonna do the obvious for me. The obvious is Skid Row. Gang's All Here. Come out of nowhere. They haven't done shit.
Mm-hmm.
And even Subhuman sucked in my book. Everybody, hate mail. It's hate mail, therockaltar.com. I don't give a shit. I didn't like it. It went off the tracks for me after Slave to the Grind was a beast. And then it kind of went off the tracks, and then the whole band fell apart anyway. So after so many years and different lead singers that I just didn't care for, they didn't work for me. Like I said, hate mail right to that email address. Even when they said Eric Gronwall was coming in, I was like, I don't know about this. I didn't buy it. I was like, I don't think so. They released The Gang's All Here. That song, I was up. I was like, okay, wait a minute here. They just fucking took it through the roof. Is this the only song on the album that's going to rock? Then they released another one, and then Time Bomb, and all 3 of them were really fucking good. Then I get the album, and it smokes. I'm just fantastic. The band seems to be tighter than ever. Finally, maybe they got a lead singer that they could just stay with instead of keep changing, and that actually fits their mold. Gronwall perfectly fits their mold, in my opinion. I mean, there is people out there that are screaming for Sebastian Bach. Get over it. He's not coming back. They don't want him. That's the way it is. So you got to deal. I know. I
don't like that guy either.
I love him, but I don't think, it's like when people get divorced, you don't bring them back together for the kids because it's not fucking good for the kids. I mean, that band would last as long as Bullet Boys. I mean, Bullet Boys got back together. Everybody's like, yay, fell right the fuck apart. You knew it was going to happen. That's why I drove up to M3 to see the reunion, because I knew it wasn't going to last long. I mean,
I agree with you on the Skid Row, though. I really think that Eric has put that band back where, in my heart, in my head, where they should be. Not that other stuff they've been doing for the past few years. Right. This album sounds a lot more like it kind of fits sort of between the debut and Slave to the Grind, kind of right exactly. In with those. And that's what I want from that band. Maybe other people want something different, but that's what I was looking for. So I was actually the same thing. I thought, oh, this is going to suck, but it really didn't. It was it's a really, really good album. It's a really strong album. Of course, Eric's a great singer and he's a great front man. And I don't know if anyone else here has seen Skid Row live with Eric. Now I don't know if they played in the U.S.
Yeah, they stole the show at M3 last year.
Oh, with Eric
what I
at
heard.
M3. Oh, okay, there you go.
Earlier this year.
I just saw them this year, and the only thing that I'm looking forward to the next album, because Eric didn't help them write this one. From what I understand, it was already written and he's just singing it. So hopefully he's going to get some of his hand in with the writing on the next one. But when I just saw them this year, they played it was quite a long set, and there was only 2 songs from the new album on it, and everything else was from the first 2. Great. But it just kind of sounded like Eric was doing Skid Row karaoke.
Right.
Because he wasn't singing his songs, right?
I get that.
So that's why, and he was great. And like I said, I think he's rejuvenated that band and put them back where they should be. But I want to hear him sing his own stuff. So I'm really looking forward to the next record to see how that dynamic progresses.
Right. I'm going to go over to you, Tim, before I do my last one, because I know you probably got a jet.
Yeah, I do. I have to get going. We got locals playing around the corner, so I promised I'd do the rock.
Tim goes see local shows like everybody should.
Supporting the scene.
Exactly. So go support, and I'm supporting the kids tonight too. So the less fortunate ones who need a really happy Christmas. That said, I'm going a different direction. And we've already thrown out so many that I could probably say are my top for the year. And I don't want to sound redundant. So like I had said before the show, I kind of group things into bits of categories necessarily. I got 2, if you want to call it a tie. I'm kind of picking sort of the AOR route on this particular one. I think that's an element of the rock scene. It's a little bit more of the softer side. Yeah. Although the first one I'm going to mention it falls into that kind of super group category. But I found an appreciation for them. Matter of fact, 3 of the guys in the band kind of come from a genre of music that you probably less than expect. But I'm really digging the freshman release from Generation Radio that came out. That's with Dean Castronovo from Journey. And then you got the guy who was singing with Chicago for a while. I don't know his name off the top of my head. And a couple of guys, or a few guys from Rascal Flatts, which is like the oddball for me. Right. But for me, it's a little bit different in the sense that, like, where we saw like maybe Bon Jovi go from being like a rock star to a country star. These are like country stars kind of go like venturing into the melodic rock AOR side of things. It's definitely artist-oriented radio kind of stuff. It's definitely catchy, hooky, poppy, if you want to call it that. But I just thought that as far if you want to look at AOR type stuff, definitely Generation Radio. But my top melodic AOR band, the one that just kind of screamed onto the scene for me, and they had a release this year, would be Perfect Plan. I would say Perfect Plan. Kent Healy.
That's mine.
We both picked the same one.
Same one.
There we go. So great minds think alike. I think
absolutely phenomenal album.
Yeah. Kent Healy is, and funny that it's even like the guy didn't even know he could really be like a professional singer, like within like the last 10 years or something crazy like that. He just sort of came out of nowhere. I think they did a lot of foreigner covers to kind of get him noticed, but definitely Perfect Plan. As a definite top band, I'd like to see them come and tour. However you want to tour.
Get them on Mork.
Get them on Mork.
Get them on Mork.
Something like that. But definitely Perfect Plan.
And they are one. I put that poll up in the group, and I added Perfect Plan, and they got, I think, 0.
Because nobody knows who the fuck
they are. And if they check them out, 4, 3,
3, I think.
4.
Yeah.
I think this is
quite a few anyway.
Yeah. I think they had 2 with the original singer, and now Kent's got 2.
Yeah, he's doing all kinds of stuff.
Absolutely fantastic band. Yeah.
Oh my God!
I watched these videos on the Frontiers channel. Good videos.
Yeah, and like you said, they've got this AOR thing is just getting me, just like it gets you. I'm loving it. I never thought I would, but some of the AOR that's coming out is just absolutely. I think Wildness fits that bill, the AOR. And they are absolutely fantastic out of Europe. And it just, you've got so much rock out there that is, it's like a buffet right now.
Yeah.
You can have you can like different things. You don't have to stay in one specific thing. It's a genre full of different. If I'm in the mood to just sing along, You got Perfect Plan. I mean, you got plenty of bands. If I want to bang my head, whatever you want to do, you've got different
Sure.
different side dishes, different main courses for whatever mood you're feeling. And these bands are just hitting it. And like you said, the AR scene is doing very, very well. And Perfect Plan, I think, is just with this album, they kind of went and they took lead of the pack to me.
Definitely.
All right, Tony. Boom.
Yeah, got to go with Skid Row.
Gotta go with the Skid.
I'm just saying, I'm kind of the same with you. You know, heard Eric joined the band, and it was like, oh, this is great. This is going to work out great, you know. And then seeing them at M3 back in May, they stole the show. I mean, it was a freezing weekend, and they warmed it up, man. They set the place on fire. It was just a great set.
That's
I mean,
all I heard.
Eric got up and he owned it. I mean, he was like he had been there forever.
Yeah.
And just a great show. And so, you know, they started putting the singles out. And I got to say, I mean, it's a solid record. It's as good. I think it's the best thing for sure since Slave to the Grind. Yep. It's in that same tradition of those first two records for sure. And it's got some great songs on it. And I'm looking forward to seeing them. I mean, like I said, they're coming in March. So I'm looking forward to seeing them. And I hope they put, you know, when they're headlining and playing a full set, that they'll put 3 or 4 songs from this new record into the set. You know, they can just drop the Subhuman Race songs and play stuff from the first 2 albums and this. And
that's what I got was the first 2 albums and 2 songs off of Gangs All Here. So it was still great.
They can play
I would like to hear more
5 songs off this easy. The 3 that they released, and then you got like Resurrected. You know, that's a fantastic song.
But Eric's fitting perfect in the group. You know, when they had the guy from Dragon Force in, you know, I was thinking,
I like him.
Great singer, but he doesn't fit. And I always thought, James Durbin would fit well with Skid Row. He had that kind of voice, like Sebastian. But Eric's perfect. Eric's just perfect for it. And you know, I think it's a shame that, you know, Baz is kind of slagging him in the press and stuff, because this kid is a fan of Boss. He loves him, you know. And it's kind of a shame that they kind of he's got to go down that path. But
and that's what leads me away from Boz anymore, because he wants to do that. It's like, why do that? And another guy that does this shit, this is gonna get me some fucking hate mail now. It's Todd LaTorre. Lay off of Scott Rockenfield, lay off the old members of Queensrÿche, and focus on your band now.
Move forward.
Move forward. It doesn't matter what this guy's doing or what that guy's doing. Focus on your shit. You're great singer. I respected him until he started dogging one of my top 5 drummers in the world. You start dogging Rockenfield, I'm done with you. And I'm sorry, but you know, a lot of people hate me for that comment. I say it all the time. I pull no punches. Todd LaTorre
my Nestor stuff looks good now, doesn't it?
Right. Todd LaTorre would be shit if it wasn't for all the girls clamor all over him. I'm sorry. It's whatever. Dude, get over it. You know, that's just my opinion. Hate mail right to the rockaltar.com. Hey, Helena's asked, you know, yes, Kent Hilly sang on the latest Giants album.
I've heard it. It's just
he's doing about 100 things.
Yeah.
I dig it.
He's super busy.
He's super busy. That's
he's in that Tenors thing now that's coming out, I think, in February.
Yes, he's in that Tenors too.
A couple other singers,
He's Ken Healy. Watch him and go out and buy Perfect Plan.
It was funny. Actually, a couple of years ago, I was at Sweden Rock, and I was staying at a cottage a little bit away from the festival grounds, me and a bunch of guys, and there's probably about 30 other people staying in different cottages on this property. And so you get talking to people, as you do when you're kind of having breakfast in the morning before you go to the festival. And someone, a Swedish person, is shocked that there's a few of us here from Canada. We've come so far to come to Sweden Rock Festival. Why do you come here? Well, we get to see bands that we don't get to see in Canada or in the U.S., a lot of these European bands. And she said, like, what are you listening to right now? My buddy had his headphones in. And he said, oh, Perfect Plan. They're a great band out of Sweden, whatever. And she says, oh, yeah, do you want to meet the drummer? He's my husband. He's just inside having a shower. So he comes out. I'm like, wait, what?
That's cool.
It was funny.
Don't drop the soap. He was in the shower. And
Oh,
you
don't
were in
drop
there.
the soap.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
hear what you said. We waited till he came out of the shower. Come on, man.
All right. I mean, have we covered just about everything? I know we got. Cool. I think we covered
I
everything.
wanted to bring up one more thing. You know,
Bring up one more thing.
I buy tons of reissues a year too, you know, of stuff that gets reissued, whether it's on CD or deluxe. The deluxe edition,
Oh yeah,
Holy Diver,
excellent. Yeah.
is excellent because they took and this guy Joe Baresi did a complete remix of the album, and he left the count ins and the fade outs of the song.
Cool.
So you hear stuff you've never heard before.
Oh yeah.
I mean, at the solo at the end of Invisible goes on for another minute or so of just Vivian shredding, which you've never heard before. So it's like hearing the record all like a brand new record again.
Yeah,
but
I was really shocked.
Really impressed. It's got demos and so forth. It's really, really cool package.
Yeah. Yeah, excellent. I agree.
Definitely. I'll have to check it out. I have heard good things about it. I just haven't got it yet. With everything else coming out, it's hard to.
Did you guys see the Dio documentary?
Actually, I just watched that last night.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
What channel's that on?
Showtime's airing it now.
Okay, I got to do a free trial on that then.
Yeah, do a free trial.
7 days, watch everything, and then cut it off.
Yeah.
I think it's on Crave up here. Do you guys have Crave in the U.S.?
No, we don't.
Well, it must be a Canadian thing then. I think that's where
the Triumph documentary before it got released over here as well.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we covered everything.
Yes, we have.
Awesome.
I thank you guys for being here. Wendy Chandler from Cranium Radio. She says thanks so much. I thank Michael. No, we did not.
No, we didn't talk about that.
Pick the latest Michael Monroe.
It's in my list of 40. But
that's a good album too. I mean,
never misses a step. It's
he's been
Michael
putting
Monroe.
out solid albums for a long time. Solid albums.
Yeah.
And he still performs great live. I just saw him back in August.
Yeah.
I think he's on the boat this year again.
What is he, 64 or 66
Yeah.
or something?
Like that,
he's up
you
there.
wouldn't know it by the way he's running around on stage.
No. Like you think he's still like in his 30s and shit like that.
It's kind of
And
like
he still sounds great
Whiteman.
too vocally.
Right. Kind of like Steve Whiteman. I mean, you can't believe that guy's in his 60s and he's still up there just doing his thing. It's like, I get tired just watching him.
That's something I was really impressed with. What was it, last year? His solo album kind of came from out of nowhere. It's got a stupid, like a stick figure drawing. I'm like, well, this looks dumb. Put it on. I'm like, this is really good. I was shocked with that.
Can't remember the name of that one.
Me neither. It's me or remember something.
It might have been me. It's me. Something like that. It's something like that. But yeah,
it's good anyway.
Stick figure. It's just somebody drew on the cover and said, just release that, whatever. You know, kind of like Bon Jovi wrote on a hood of a car in the rain, slippery when wet. It sells millions. But hey, all right. Well, thank you guys for being here. And thank you, everybody.
Thanks for having me, Tony. Good seeing you, Rich. Good seeing you, Mike. Always good seeing you. Absolutely.
Merry
Thanks
Christmas, happy
me.
holidays,
Merry
happy
Christmas. You know, y'all have good. Get out there, support live music, just like Tim's doing right now. He's got a show to get to.
Peace, guys.
Awesome.
Peace,
guys.
All right, take care.
All right, later, gentlemen.
Awesome.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. I mean, hopefully you jotted down some new music to go check out, to go stream on Spotify. Hopefully you know, we mentioned one that you were just absolutely over the moon about, the Skid Row. That was almost a unanimous pick on all of our parts. You know, at least in everybody's top 5. Perfect Plan. That's one that's getting no recognition, and we pretty much agreed on. That's a good album. Ken Hilly's voice. You know, and these guys. This is why I brought them on here. These guys know their shit. I wrote down 6 or 7 more bands that I've got to check out now, and that's the reason why we do this, is to get word out there about bands. You know, hopefully you jotted some down, and now you got some listening to do, checking out to do. That's why we do this. The B-Rock Show on CGCM Rock Radio. What rock radio should be next week will be Christmas. That's right. I went out and I found a lot of Christmas tunes, rocking Christmas tunes, some that I did not know about. I mean, thank you for being here, Helena. Thank you, Wendy, for being here. Lot of Christmas, dude. I dived into this and I was finding stuff all over the place. I thought it was going to be a total TSO show. No, I might even have to delete the TSO one because I've got like 30 songs I could put on there, and I think I could fit like 28. So, just a warning, Rich. I might run over on my show. Who knows? But that's next week, starting Tuesday. And CGCM Rock Radio will have all of our top 20s coming up. So you can get in there, and that radio station, I'm a part of it. I love being a part of this radio station because there's different people in there. We're not all focused on hair metal or doom metal or AOR. We all have different tastes, and they come together. We all gel fantastic. So check out each one's top 20. You're going to find stuff in there, and there's like I think there's like 10 of us. Rich is still here. Rich and Tony are still here, so they can come in here. You guys can come in here. I'm just talking. Yeah. I think there's like 10 or 20 of us on CGCM that are doing a top 20 thing.
Yeah, right? Actually, we're doing top 10s, and then
top
we're
10s.
going to, from each person's individual list, we have a highly technical point system, which we will get the definitive entire team's top 20 afterwards.
Nice.
It's not that technical.
Dude, it's got to be something. It's got to be something. If it's done by Canadians, it can't be too technical. Yeah, so check that out. CGCM Rock Radio, me and Rich are both a part of that. And like I said, different minds, different tastes, and we all gel. And I listen to that. I listen to other people's show and find something every day. And that's exactly what streaming radio is all about now in these podcasts. It's all about finding new music. We find it, turn you onto it, and hopefully you enjoy it. You're going to find something always. And that's just
as I say all the time. AC/DC's Back in Black is a great song, a great album. I don't need to hear it every time I turn the radio on.
Exactly.
I want to hear something like Crazy Licks or Fellskin or some of the other bands we talked about tonight that you're not going to hear them.
Right, and that's exactly why you dump Hair Nation. It's the same 15 songs over and fucking over again. So why not stream internet radio where there's guys that you might what's the fucking word? You identify with, and they play the same kind of music you like, and they throw in some new shit. I mean, I listen to Rich's show, and I always find another one. Just like when I see Tony posting his top albums of his anniversary albums, I find some. Oh, okay, I gotta check this out. You're always finding out. Your friends are always there for you, music wise, everything. So it's out there. Shows like this, shows like everybody's going to be doing for the next couple of weeks. Check them out. Check everybody out. They're going to have more bands for you to check out. It's going to fill up your 2023, and then you won't even be able to get to what comes out in 2023 because there's a shitload coming on the way. I mean, it's crazy. I'm already looking and going, oh my God.
In the coming year.
Yeah, I should have done that too. What we're looking forward to in the new year.
There's lots of stuff coming. I put up lots of release posts already just for January and February, and I'm getting them into March now. Stuff being released, like it's going to be another banner year. I think lots of stuff to check out
between shows, concerts, and album releases. I think it's just 2022 was great.
There you go. Love in Chains has a new EP coming in 2023.
Yes, they do. If you haven't figured it out, that's Mike Flores, the lead guitar player, and Superman. Oh, I know you knew it, but anybody's still in here, and everybody's still in here, so it's cool.
Did they get the name of the band from the Paul Stanley song?
It's got to be something Kiss related. It's got to be Kiss related because Mike is
Paul Stanley's solo record had a song called "Love in Chains."
Yeah,
that's a good song. I'm a Kiss fan, so
he told me where it came from, but it might be. I don't remember. I'm not going to say yes or no because I don't know for a fact. But he'll tell. Just hold on a minute. He's probably typing.
Yeah, he's probably typing.
He's typing
the name.
But yeah, and
There you go.
There it is. Yes, they did. He's a huge Kiss fan, so that makes sense. Makes total sense. I'm surprised he doesn't wear a Kiss logo on his, Kiss t-shirt. I never see him in a Kiss t-shirt on stage. What's up with that, Mike? I thought they were your favorite band. Dude, it's just fucked up. But anyway.
Guys, I got to take off.
Yep,
So,
I'm out.
right.
So, hey. All right. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yes.
And
Happy New Year.
go check out CAGCM Rock Radio and get on Tony Dio's Facebook page. He does album anniversaries all the time. I mean, this guy's always releasing stuff. So you want to stay in the know, these two and Tim. So, hey. All right. Y'all have a good Christmas, and I will see you at shows. All right. We're out of here. So, anything else I got to say? Oh, today, I told y'all to save the date. I told you to save 2 dates, July 1st and December 2nd. Well, the July 1st venue is secured, bands are secured, announcements coming soon. So it's a done deal. You're gonna dig it. Gonna be a good show. So save the date. You're gonna want to be in Charleston. That is it's July 1st. It's right around. It'll be celebrating July 4th that weekend. A lot of come. Oh, I'm back. I think my internet lagged. And then December 2nd, I already have 2 bands inked. We're good. There'll be probably 2 more. That'll be a Tots show, Toys for Tots show. So, but July 1st, make your plans now. I'll be posting. I'm going to create an event. It'll be called Save the Date for now. But then once I release the names of the bands, then it'll be different. But check it out. If you're not already in the Rockin' with B-Rock group, get in there. Most people are because you're watching this or you're watching it on YouTube. So next week's show, can't remember the date, 8 Ball, Chuck G, Val Batts from 8 Ball. Great band out of Kentucky. I think they're still out of Kentucky. Maybe Nashville area, Tennessee. But they'll be here with me next week. And if your band wants to get on, you want to get on here and talk and shoot the shit a little bit and get your name out there, send me therockaltar@yahoo.com. Email me. I can't find everybody. Come. I'll put you on. I'll sit down and talk with you. Get your name out there. All right. Y'all have a great weekend. And I will see you on the radio Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And right back here next Thursday with 8 Ball. Have a great night. And thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Chase, go to the show.